Good morning students, I am Jacob, your English teacher. So this is part 3 of the chapter Indigo from your Flamingo book. So let's read and continue the chapter. So page number 51, Flamingo book. Gandhi and the lawyers now proceeded to conduct a far-flung inquiry into the grievances of the farmers. Depositions by about 10,000 peasants were written down and notes made on their evidence. So what happened after the court declared that the case has been dropped and civil disobedience won? Gandhiji thought and the other lawyers thought that they should actually investigate more about the grievances, troubles of the farmers. So evidences were collected, notes were made about the troubles that the farmers were facing. Documents were collected, the whole area throbbed with the activity of the investigators and the vehement protests of the landlords. So the whole area was actually throbbed or maybe moving of people here and there. Landlords were protesting, more and more farmers were coming and giving their evidences of the trouble that they faced. In June, Gandhi was summoned to Sir Edward Gate, the Lieutenant Governor. Before he went, he met leading associates and again led detailed plans for civil disobedience if he should not return. Gandhi had 4 protracted interviews with the Lieutenant Governor, who as a result appointed an official commission of inquiry into the indigo sharekeepers situation. So Mr. Gandhi had a 4 hours prolonged conversation with the commissioner, the governor, who appointed an official commission for inquiring more about the sharekeeper situation. The commission consisted of landlords, government officials and Gandhi as the sole representative of the peasants. Gandhi remained in Champaran for an initial uninterrupted period of 7 months and then again for several shorter visits. The visit, undertaken casually on the entreaty of an unlettered peasant in the expectation that it would last a few days, occupied almost a year of Gandhi's life. So a request, in this paragraph it says, a request made by an ordinary peasant, Rajkumar Shukla, and Gandhiji thought it would end soon, but it actually took an year of his life, an entire year. The official inquiry assembled a crushing mountain of evidence against the pig planters, and when they saw this, they agreed in principle to make refunds to the peasants. So a decision was taken after considering everything to return or to make refunds to the peasants. But how much must we pay? They asked Gandhi. They thought he would demand repayment in full of the money which they had illegally and deceitfully extorted from the sharekeepers. He asked only 50%. There he seemed adamant. So what happened? When they asked Mr. Gandhi that how much should we pay, they thought that he is going to say maybe the entire full amount. But Mr. Gandhi was adamant. He was stubborn over there and he said that we want only 50% of whatever was taken from the peasants. There he seemed adamant, writes Reverend J.Z. Hodge, a British missionary in Champaran who observed the entire episode at close range. Thinking probably that he would not give the way, the representative of the planters offered to refund to the extent of 25%, and to his amazement Mr. Gandhi took him at his word, thus breaking the deadlock. So Gandhiji said 50% and they said that they are going to pay 25%. So to break the deadlock of 50 and 25, Mr. Gandhi agreed that okay, 25% is good to go. This settlement was adopted unanimously by the commission. Gandhi explained that the amount of the refund was less important than the fact that landlords had been obliged to surrender part of the money and with it part of their prestige. Therefore, as far as the peasants were concerned, the planters have behaved as lords above the law. So considering all this, he said that it is not that the percentage that matters, it is that the landowners have actually shown concern as well as they have behaved like lords and they have actually obliged to surrender the money to the peasants. Now the peasants saw that he had rights and defenders. He learned courage. Events justified Gandhi's position. Within a few years, the British planters abandoned their estates, which reverted to the peasants. Indigo sharekeeping, cropping disappeared. So finally, after all this, what happened? The British planters abandoned their estates, they left, and the indigo crop was no more grown, and the entire land was reverted to the peasants. Gandhi never contented himself with large political or economic solutions. He saw the cultural and social backwardness in the Champaran villages and wanted to do something about it immediately. So Mr. Gandhi did not wanted to take the credit or wanted a large political or economic solutions. Okay. And what else he saw, that Champaran was culturally backward, culturally as well as socially backward. He appealed for teachers. Mahadev Desai and Narhari Parikh, two young men who had just joined Gandhi as disciples, and their wives volunteered for the work. Several more came from Bombay, Pune and other distant parts of the land. Devadas, Gandhi's youngest son, arrived from the ashram, and so did Mrs. Gandhi. Primary schools were opened in 6 villages. Kasturbai taught the ashram rules on personal cleanliness and community sanitation. So other than helping the poor peasants, Gandhi also came up with more and more for Champaran village by introducing new schools, introducing teachers, and the teachers teaching them about personal cleanliness and community sanitation. Health conditions were miserable. Gandhi got a doctor to volunteer his services for 6 months. 3 medicines were available: castor oil, quinine and sulfur ointment. Anybody who showed a coated tongue was given a dose of castor oil. Anybody with malaria fever received quinine plus castor oil. Anybody with skin eruptions received ointment plus castor oil. So other than educating, Gandhiji also, got a doctor to volunteer his services for 6 months. So other than educating, health services were also provided by Mr. Gandhi. So in order to improve the health condition in the village, which was miserable. Gandhi noticed the filthy state of women's clothes. He asked Kasturbai to talk to them about it. One woman took Kasturbai into her hut and said, "Look, there is no box or cupboard here for clothes. The sari I am wearing is the only one I have." During his long stay in Champaran, Gandhiji kept a long distance watch on the ashram. He sent regular instructions by mail and asked for financial accounts. Once he wrote to the resident that he was time to fill in the old latrine trenches and dig new ones, otherwise the old ones would begin to smell bad. So Gandhiji started doing a lot of things during his stay in Champaran, educating and taking care of the health conditions which were miserable, and also about the clothes which women used to wear, which was filthy, poor condition. The Champaran episode was a turning point in Gandhi's life. What I did, he explained, was a very ordinary thing. I declared that the British could not order me about in my own country. But Champaran did not begin as an act of defiance. It grew out of an attempt to alleviate the distress of large number of poor peasants. So Gandhiji said that Champaran was an episode which was a turning point in his life. It is not that it is an act of disobedience. Defiance means disobedience, but it is an attempt to remove the trouble of large number of poor peasants. So this was the sole purpose. This way, the typical Gandhi pattern, his politics were intervened with practical day-to-day problems of the millions. His was not a loyalty to abstractions, it was a loyalty to living and human beings. In everything Gandhi did, moreover, he tried to mold a new free Indian who could stand on his own feet and thus make India free. So with all these things, he wanted that people should actually become fearless and stand for their own freedom and make India free from the British rule. So in these two paragraphs, it's just mentioned that Champaran was just the beginning. He actually wanted to help the poor peasants all across and make them fearless and fight for the freedom, the liberty. Early in the Champaran action, Charles Ferrer Andrews, the English pacifist who had become a devoted follower of the Mahatma, came to bid Gandhi farewell before going on a tour of duty to the Fiji Islands. Gandhi's Lord friends thought it would be a good idea for Andrews to stay in Champaran and help them. Andrews was willing if Gandhi agreed, but Gandhi was vehemently opposed. He said, "You think that in this unequal fight it would be helpful if we have an Englishman on our side? This shows the weakness of our heart. The cause is just and you must rely upon yourself to win the battle. You should not seek a prop in Mr. Andrews because he happens to be an Englishman." So, Charles Ferrer Andrews, he was actually a devoted follower of Gandhi. He was like very devoted. When he saw whatever Gandhi did, he became his follower. And when the advocates said that let's also include Andrews in our team, then Gandhi said, "No, we are not going to. This will show that we are weak. We actually want to fight on our own selves without including Andrews, which himself is an Englishman. We actually want to do it all by ourselves." He had read our minds correctly, Rajendra Prasad comments, and we had no reply. Gandhi in this way taught us a lesson in self-reliance. Self-reliance, Indian independence and help to sharekeepers will all bound together. So he said that Mr. Gandhi has taught us a lesson that self-reliance, depending on our own self instead of on others, is going to be of great help. We'll actually going to become free. So students, with this we are done with our chapter Indigo. So if you have any questions or queries, you can message me on WhatsApp or you can discuss with me during our online class as well. So thank you and have a good day ahead.